Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
But joining us is Gerald Celente of trendsresearch.com to go over his 12 trends of 2012 coming up. Because he only got to a few of them, I'd like him to start over and go through those with us today, trendsresearch.com. Gerald, thanks for joining us today.
Always my pleasure, Alex. And just to let you know, I've turned down a number of requests for interviews on the major media, on TV, because I just don't want to associate with them anymore. And so I'd much rather be on with you and others like you. And so that's part of my New Year's resolution. Now, they keep calling me up and asking me to come on, and I just tell them I'm busy, I'm not coming on, and that's the end of it. I'm not going to be a part of that scam anymore, and it doesn't do me, it doesn't do anybody any good. Even though it's very beneficial financially for me to do it, it's just not worth it. And I'd rather be on with you, who tells it like it is and makes it so clear and puts your neck on the line, because this thing is going down, and there are very few people like yourself that are willing to really tell the truth about how bad it really is, and then people like myself who do trend forecasting to say how bad it's going to get.
Well, yes, sir. And again, we appreciate you. People need to appreciate Ron Paul, yourself, myself, and others who are willing to state the obvious fact, because it's only going to make things worse if we don't face the hard facts. But I think you've hit on something central here, Gerald, and I'd like you to expand on this and then get into your trends for 2012 and the report that you're sharing with us here today. Looking at the so-called mainstream media, I am going to stop using that term in 2012 because, as you've coined, they're prostitutes, and they are bought and paid for, and their audiences are dwindling because people are becoming aware of this. And I think ostracizing them is something I do a lot now. When they call me occasionally to come on, I just don't even return their calls in many cases, because they really are a joke, and it's time that MSM label go away, and they really are prostitutes.
That's all they are. And look at what happened with the National Defense Authorization Act. It barely got any coverage at all. And by the way, in this new Trends Journal, the one coming out, the top trends of 2012, as you well know, we're talking about safe havens. And people have keep coming to me and say, how about Argentina? How about Argentina? And I said, you know, I was down there about 1.5 years ago, and it's not the right place. Anything could change at any time. And they have really a history of clamping down on people. But a lot of people are still going down there. Well, guess what they just came out with 2 days ago? They passed a law that copies the National Defense Authorization Act and then trumps it. Do you remember my story of telling you about my last episode and trying to get my money out of the bank with HSBC?
Yes, sir.
Well, now in Argentina, you could get 15 years in jail for taking your money out of the bank if they don't like the way you're taking it out. You can get 15 years in jail now in Argentina for protesting against the government. What I'm saying is, Alex, it's clamping down all over the world. In Hungary, democracy is shot. They have this government in there. In the last several weeks, they've been jamming through legislation that's cutting out other opposition media. It's putting clamps on people's dissent. It's going on worldwide. And the reason it's clamping down, as they've done with here in the good old USSA, is because they know that the financial Ponzi scheme is collapsing, and they are going to do everything they can to quell dissent.
You're right, Gerald, and people always say, you know, let's get out of the country. My wife has said that before. She's very intelligent, and I understand the instinct. CNN and others, other globalist outlets have reported that there are record numbers of people leaving. But the issue is, this is a global corporate kleptocrat model. There's global standardization. And as you pointed out, the exact same stuff's being done in Eastern Europe, in Costa Rica, in Central America, in Australia, in Germany, in England. It's all carbon copy. And there's the headline, new Argentine law adopted, broad definition of terrorism, including taking your money out of the bank. So that's it. I mean, worldwide authoritarianism is here because the very same financial crooks are running it. And so we got to stand and fight, basically.
Yes, and let's, again, we call them by their proper name, the money changers. That's all they are. And as a matter of fact, there's another wonderful little article you should Google up on Bloomberg about how they call the people that dissent against the very greedy taking all the money. And remember that we have an income disparity here that rivals that of Iran and China, Zimbabwe. And I'm not making that up. That's according to the CIA fact book.
And then fake conservatives spin it like, oh, well, that's free market. There's no reason people should be mad they're so poor. No, there's no reason all the jobs were shipped to China. There's no reason. Meanwhile, these guys are getting rich off corporate welfare, but you'll never hear the pimps posing as conservatives on radio who are attacking Ron Paul admit that to their audience.
Right. So if you Google up this, you'll see that people like Jamie Dimon and this guy Marcus, who created Walmart, not Walmart, excuse me, Home Depot. Home Depot, Lowe's, aren't they wonderful? They put all of the people that used to own hardware stores out of business because they know how to do the big deals. He says that people like you and I or others that complain about this, do you know who we are? We're imbeciles. That's right. They create jobs. You have these jerks that are saying things in this article in Bloomberg that when they call us imbeciles, like this one guy, I think his name is Cooperman or something, a hedge fund guy, and he says, don't these people understand? We make it possible so they could stock the shelves with Christmas stuff. No, you don't. You're a hedge fund guy. You're a gambler. And the gambling club is very tight, and you're all doing deals with each other. So let's make this really clear. You're not the best and the brightest. You're high-stakes gamblers that'll screw your mother to make money because Mr. Cooperman or Mr. Marcus or Jamie Dimon, you're just like John Corzine, MF. You're a bunch of MF money junkies, and you want it all, just like any heroin addict. So I suggest you look up that article, and as we go into the new year, we have to put the proper name on these people. As you said, they're prostitutes in the media, they're money changers and loan sharks. They are not bankers.
Yeah, a banker is somebody who actually loans you some money at a low, reasonable rate in your town to build something. But the mega banks on record are trying to shut down all the small banks and credit unions. They're trying to mop up any competition. But, Gerald, expanding on your trends, I want to start getting into the 12, recapping some of the first we covered and get into the 6 or so we didn't the other day. That's why you're back here with us breaking this down. But here's CNN. Gun sales at record levels, according to FBI background checks. And it says that 1,534,413, but they have actuaries that's just for the FBI background check. So they estimate more than 2 million guns were sold in December, an all-time record, breaking previous records. And they've done surveys here asking people why they are buying guns, and they say they believe there's going to be a collapse and that they don't trust the government. Look, folks, it's another illusion when we say nobody's waking up or my neighbors laugh at me. You may have some, addled, brainwashed neighbor who buys into this, but they are the minority. Most people just don't trust their neighbors, so they act dumb. Most people Okay, and most police I talk to, and most military, and look at how they give most of their money to Ron Paul, that's proof right there, politically in the campaign, are totally waking up, Gerald. What's your view on just the absolute breakneck arming that the American people are doing?
Well, first of all, as you were talking about government before and summing it up, you know, John Anthony West, who I work with, my colleague for over 30 years, he summed it up very well. He said government is nothing more than 24/7 extortion. That's all it is. So as you're reading the report about the people buying guns, it's our third trend. It's called climax time. In 2012, many of the long-simmering socioeconomic and geopolitical trends that we have forecast and tracked will come to a climax. Some will arrive with a big bang, and others less dramatically, but no less consequentially. So the people in their gut, they know it's collapsing, and they're taking preparations for the worst. And the worst is coming upon us.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Let's race through the 12 trends here, Gerald.
Well, the first one, of course, is economic martial law. I'm warning people, as I've said, I've been having difficulty getting my money out of the bank, and people are emailing me every day and telling me of their problems as well. So again, I don't give financial advice. You know my motto, think for yourself. All I'm saying is that the whole European system is collapsing. We saw that phony bond sale the other day, the last 2 days in Italy. Here the ECB dumped $600 billion into the banks so they could buy bonds. So this is collapsing. I believe they're going to call an economic martial law. The second trend, battlefield America. As you well know and have been well talking about, and you're doing a great job with your writers in detailing what the National Defense Authorization Act is. The battlefield America is being put in place, I believe, to take care of the economic martial law, because there's just imagine if the nation shuts down, the chaos that we're going to see. And from the martial law, the economic martial law. And so things are being put in place, which brings me to the third trend, which is climax. This is the year it all starts falling apart. There are no green shoots. There is no recovery. As you pointed out, those phony little numbers they throw out there, you know, like housing starts, you know. Oh yeah, they're up a little bit, but the whole thing is really going down. Housing prices have fallen worse than they have during the Great Depression. What more do people have to know? And it's not only in the U.S., it's everywhere. And those bubbles now that they created in other countries to try to prop it up, those real estate bubbles, they're collapsing as well. The next trend, you talked about it a bit, and it's the technocrat takeover. And again, it's fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers. Let's stop calling them technocrats. Who's in Italy? Mario Three-Card Monte. Who's over in Greece? Greece, the cradle of democracy. Here's to you, democracy. We just put in a technocrat. Papademos, where's he from? Oh, this cat actually, he did a stint with the Federal Reserve. You mean Mr. Celente? Both of those guys are bankers? That's right. The money changers have taken over the temple in Athens, the temple in Rome, and of course the temple in Berlin, in Paris, the U.S., everywhere. It's not a technocratic takeover. It's the end of the for democracy that they've tried to tell us that we have, and it's fascism. Capisce? Let's call it what it is, Mario Monti. You should know. It's happening everywhere.
You're right. Stay there. More trends straight ahead. Gerald Celente. We'll be right back.